Brand new information. This is right out of the White House that they're giving us today. And it is an amazing recitation of all of the ways the American History Museum is a complete disaster. It's a complete disaster. It's being run right now by these left-wing activists who have destroyed it and undermined the founding mission entirely of the museum. From the very beginning of the museum, when it was set up, it was designed to tell America's story in a way that, really kind of made you like the country more, appreciate the great history, the legacy that you're inheriting. And that is not the current state of affairs at the National Museum of American History. Instead, they've got these left-wing activists who are running the operation and telling people that they should hate America. I don't know how much more explicit I can be on this. In fact, last week, we had Dr. Matt Spalding on the program, and I was asking him about this because he's taken a special interest in it. And he said, by the time you leave the museum, you have a lower regard for America if you don't know better. They're trying to convince you of this. So in the midst of the America 250 celebrations, the White House released what they call Saving America's Story, how ideological capture at the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of American History erases our heritage. Erases our heritage. And in it, they very quickly point out that the founding mission of this museum was to uplift your understanding of American history. In making their case to Congress in 1953, Smithsonian leadership argued that one of the, quote, main reasons the National Museum of American History should be created is to place before millions who visit the nation's capital each year a stimulating permanent exposition that commemorates our heritage of freedom and highlights the basic elements of our way of life. They go on. It's about telling the story of American national progress, cementing America's progress for citizens and foreign visitors alike, to instill in each citizen a deepened faith in our country's destiny as champion of individual dignity and enterprise. So basically, in other words, it goes on and on talking about, like, look, the point is to tell a great story about America's founding and why this is such a great country, how we ended up with a great country in the first place, what the legacy is, and Americans and foreigners alike will walk away with a great impression of the circumstances. Wonderful. That's exactly what a National Museum of American History should be doing. But that's not what it's doing. That's not what it's doing at all. And let me give you some examples of what the modern National Museum of American History is doing. And it's being led by a whack job woman called Anthea Hartig, who is the current director, a left-wing activist. But here's the White House. They summarized some of this on their Great Rapid Response 47 account. They said, here's some of the worst examples of what's going on at the museum. So let's go into item one, right? A museum supposedly for families and children displays a sadomasochistic crotch harness. What the hell is a crotch harness? What is that? A crotch harness? What the hell am I looking at? This is in the National Museum of American History? Were the Wright brothers wearing this when they took off? What the hell is the National Museum of American History doing with crotch harnesses? What am I looking at here? They have a crotch harness. Okay, a crotch harness. A trans non-binary person's chest binder. A chest binder, this is when a chest binder, as I unfortunately now understand, is when you try and compress a little girl's chest so much that it can't grow. You're harming little girls. This is what the left is into. And then pages from a 6-year-old girl's diary in which she prays every night for my penis to grow. So the National Museum of American History celebrates mental illness and the abuse of children. The White House says the sick material is sexualizing kids. A crotch harness. Again, I was like, what? Okay. We go on. The museum also features video clips of drag queens, images of nude women, and a magazine promoting female masturbation. Yeah. I remember that. That's from the Continental Congress. That was a big thing. That was actually the Second Continental Congress. Is when things got a little bit more risque. What? It's sick and it's explicit content pushed on visitors of all ages at an American history museum. Look at this. You got drag queens. We got drag queen story hour going at the National Museum of American History. They have the magazine covers of the Dixie Chicks naked. They have whatever the hell this is, girl germs, women hanging all over each other, no shirts on. What is this museum? Look, son. American history. They also have smeared iconic pieces of our culture as racist. Mickey Mouse is described as the vestiges of longstanding traditions of blackface minstrelsy. Uh-huh. Oh, boy. The ukulele is also described as a product of U.S. imperialism. Oh, really? Man, it has produced some great music, hasn't it? The ukulele. You know, one of my favorite ukulele players, the late and very large Israel Kamakaviva Ole. You know him from his rendition of what's the song? Oh my gosh, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Yeah, I'm sorry, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Great song, and a lot of other great songs. And then there's Wild West shows they describe as turning the subjugation of indigenous people into theater. What the hell's going on here? And they have, of course, they have social justice nonsense in the museum. Has anybody been to this museum lately in chat? Have you seen all of this when you went? Now, this is, what museum is this? Says Porsche L07. It's the National Museum of American History. Look, you can even see it in this little graphic right here. The National Museum of American History is what I'm looking at. They share histories that, quote, begin with people, show interactions and influences across ethnicity, race, region, class, gender, and sexuality, disability, background, and belief. They illuminate how power works. This is neo-Marxism stuff, guys. This is what we're looking at here. This is critical theory, Marxist nonsense. The president just gave a huge speech this weekend on for the 250th birthday of the country, and he said that we can't be a communist nation. Commies are currently running the National Museum of American History. What else have they found? They reframed America's founding. The museum has as a story of pure evil. Christopher Columbus is described as a murderer, a slaver, and a thief. Christopher Columbus is a hero. He's an adventurer. Christopher Columbus is an essential ingredient to our history. Christopher Columbus, it was understood so early by Americans that Christopher Columbus had immense importance to this continent that we named everything after him, including the very city in which the National Museum of American History is currently in. Christian pilgrims are described as colonizers. This is a part of the anti-Christian bigotry of the museum. And Thanksgiving is described as a national day of mourning. What are you even talking about? They don't even know the actual history of Thanksgiving. Now, I'm already seeing the left's reactions to this report from the White House. The left is making all sorts of claims. Oh, Trump wants to whitewash American history. He wants to tell people a lie. He wants to give them propaganda. Lie after lie after lie. In fact, it's so over the top, so theatrical, and so predictable because it's the... And now it's time for the left's fake scandal of the week. Extra, extra. No, it's not that at all. In fact, what we want to do is tell the truth. We want to tell the truth about the richness of American history. We want people to know how great this country is. We want them to know what our founders endured in putting it together. We want them to know about our founders pledging their lives and their fortunes and their sacred honor, putting it all on the line to get this constitutional republic standing, to get us to a point that we could create an environment for the greatest human flourishing in world history. We want that history to be told. We want the history to be told in all of its complexity, including the story of slavery and the Civil War, abolition, the cost of American blood that it took to end slavery. We want that story to be told. We want stories to be told about Frederick Douglass, who called for us to look to the Declaration of Independence as inspiration for where we should be as a country. A man who was in bondage, who escaped bondage, and appealed to the United States to live up to its highest virtues. We should be able to reflect upon the history of Booker T. Washington, a man who also escaped slavery, who reflected on what it meant to be a slave, what it meant to be able to forge ahead for your own future, and what makes this country so great. Booker T. Washington recognized those things. We should be able to dwell upon the complexities of American history, all the ways Democrats have tried to set us back, how they've tried to maintain slavery in the United States, how they fought to prevent Black Americans from having civil rights, how the Republican Party was founded as an abolition party, as a party that fought for civil liberties, that has fought throughout its entire history for a colorblind meritocracy. This history should be told. The history of our country in the last century, the defeat of totalitarian regimes, defeating fascism, defeating communism, defeating the Marxists, freeing the world, winning multiple world wars, heroism, creating the greatest military the world has ever seen, landing on the moon. Our history should be told in all of its richness, in all of its complexity, in a museum that honors American history and tells it correctly.